Welcome to A Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm Sarah Missoni from Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center, where I've helped countless dreamers launch their new food products. It's the science of taking a food delight from the kitchen to mass manufacturing and still keeping its great taste. That's what I do. I've been called the woman with the $1 million palate, although I haven't tried to cash that check yet. Listen in weekly for real-life stories.
I'm Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce and author of Preservation Pantry, modern canning from root to top and stem to core. I love inspiring business owners to get started on their journey, encourage folks to be part of their local community, and I'm excited to help business owners tell their stories. Hello and welcome to the Meaningful Marketplace. We are here weekly to discuss the journeys of food entrepreneurs. We're glad you've joined us today as we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. This is Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce. Sarah Missoni is still out on leave, but she should be back next week. We've been partnering with the Regional Food Business Center to bring you guests from the 6-state region. We're currently meeting with business owners from the great state of Wyoming. I would like to introduce you to our co-host today, Melissa Hemken. She is part of the Regional Food Business Center of Wyoming. She is also a food systems weaver and storyteller. She's the owner of Melissa Hoff Hatchery. And Melissa, I have another thing that I want to talk to you about because I was looking at your website. Okay. And I realized that I had never watched the Wyoming Food Freedom video. And I did watch it. And I didn't realize that you produced that video.
Yes. And the big news we have right now is just nominated for a regional Emmy. So that's exciting.
That's what I was going to say. You are an Emmy-nominated producer. I feel like you should have that on a t-shirt. You should have like flashing lights behind you. That's huge. That's amazing.
The interesting point is it's the first little video I produced too. So I guess maybe I have a knack for it, or Kyle, the videographer, is extremely good. But what I found in producing it is really you're just coordinating all the details in the background, which are pretty good at project management. So yeah, it's kind of just running around the background, getting things set up for the videographer, making sure the right people are there. It was fun project to work on.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I think without a producer, things wouldn't happen. You need it.
That's
you need
very
it
true.
to make it happen. So it's a lot. I wouldn't say you just do it. You did a lot of stuff to make it happen. And it's an awesome video. I'll make sure to link it in the show notes so that people can see it and watch it. And it was fun for me to watch it now that I have gone through all of these different sessions with you, learning about different things that happen in Wyoming, meeting the different people from Meadowlark Market and the Fremont Market that we've talked about, but then to see them actually in real life, video was really cool. So I hope that our listeners watch that video too. It was the first time that I had found it. Did you always have it linked on your website, or did you just add it recently?
I think I remembered to link it at some point this winter.
Cool.
Yeah, it first aired last fall on Wyoming PBS, and then fall's a busy time. I plant garlic in the fall, and winter's a little slower. And I was like, oh yeah, that video.
Yeah. Well, I was really excited to find it. So I'm sure our listeners will be as well. So I'll make sure to link it. And I just wanted to congratulate you on it and tell you what a great job you did.
Oh, well, thank you. And the cool thing is our guests today are from another one of the food freedom markets. So here in Wyoming, we have a unique piece of legislation called the Wyoming Food Freedom Act. And it's all about the informed end consumer. And so a lot of things like value-added food products made in a home kitchen or raw milk can be sold directly to consumer if the consumer knows it. It's all about, knowing where your food come from, knowing your food maker, knowing your farmer and rancher, and it's based on that premise. One of the unique things about that act, even more so, is that the legislature put in a designated agent provision. And so with that, me as the farmer, I can designate like Meadowlark Market or Fremont Local Market, which are featured in that video short, as my designated agent, and they can have my raw milk product on the shelf and sell it to the consumer. Labeled appropriately, of course, and I know our guests can talk to us all about that to make sure, again, that the consumer is informed consumer and making educated choices about their food, which we should all do regardless of where we're buying our food. We should be educated about it. So yeah, today we're talking to Mountain Fresh out of Pinedale, and they're one of the other ones. And I think we have almost 15 food freedom markets around the state. Some are small, some are large, but they are unique in that they're producers in their area by giving them an added sales channel, and they're serving their community members by making it easier for them to access the food and eat really well. So they're very community based, which I think is the best part about them.
It's so cool. I can't wait to bring our guests out and to talk more about it. And we'll learn more about all of these markets and all of these legislation rules, I'm sure. We would like to encourage you to connect with your state by signing up for the Regional Food Business Center newsletter. It's a breeze to sign up. Just go to Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center.com, hit connect with us, and choose the button to receive newsletters. And we want to thank our sponsor for supporting the Meaningful Marketplace. Thank you for helping us spread the word about small business owners and entrepreneurs. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. The Northwest and Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center is the proud sponsor of the Meaningful Marketplace podcast, giving a voice to food from across the 6-state region of Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. The Food Business Center supports Northwest and Rocky Mountain food industry makers as part of the USDA's National Network of Food Business Centers, supporting a more resilient, diverse, and competitive food system as a go-to source for small and mid-tier food and farm businesses with a focus on underserved communities, providing education in the form of technical knowledge, business programs, and industry news. We sponsor trade shows, meetups, and conferences to connect growers, producers, retailers, distributors, and processors, all to stimulate business and raise the standards of our storied food industry. Join us as we travel through the 6-state region, learning more about food makers, food hubs, and food systems. Visit the website at Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Businesses.com to get connected. And I would like to introduce you to our guests today. I have the honor of bringing on Vicki and Savannah Sherman of Mountain Fresh Produce, growing hydroponic vegetables in Pinedale, Wyoming. Welcome, ladies.
Hi. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, we're super excited to talk to you today. And we always like to connect our listeners to you online. So what's the best way for them to find you on social media and your website, those kinds of things?
We have a Facebook page, Mountain Fresh Produce, and then we show all the specials and what we have going from the different vendors every week. And we also have a web page, which is mountain-fresh-produce.com.
Perfect. And we like to start at the beginning of people's journey. So why don't you tell us when you started the business and what inspired you to start Mountain Fresh Produce?
Well, Savannah started with hydroponics at home. And when she had a very good knack for that, she learned so many things about it. And she started feeding our family. She started feeding everybody else's family. And pretty soon that was taking over the entire house.
And it kind of took off from there. And there was an older building in town that we kind of noticed. I started at that same time doing research into container farming and other methods of hydroponics. And so from there, it just kind of took off. And our family just kind of wanted to fill a need that we saw in our community, which was the lack of fresh produce, especially with a very short growing season and the limitations of what our community had to offer. And so with that, we just decided to go into it and remodel the building and start this business where we would offer that fresh produce direct to our customers.
Consumers, directly to the consumer.
And how big is Pinedale again?
I think on the sign it says about 2,700 right now for the
Okay.
town of Pinedale. The county is a huge county, however. We still don't have a real high population, but it's spread out quite well.
Yeah. But Pinedale's, what's the motto? All the civilization you need or something? It's the motto of Pinedale.
Yeah, that's it.
All the civilization you need.
Well, and we've had lots of farmers on our podcast, but we've never had any hydroponic farmers. So let's just in case our listeners don't know or quite understand what hydroponic farming is, let's go ahead and talk about what it is and how you do it. Just give a basic kind of rundown of it.
Yeah. So hydroponics is a way of growing food only in water. So there's a lot of different methods. So one of the methods that I use in the container farm is drip irrigation. And so what it does is it drips through a wicking strip down into the plants and then back into the reservoir, where it only uses about 5 gallons of water a day for a conics box that grows about 4 to 6 tons of food a year and has over 5,000 plants in it at any given time. So hydroponics, you can use a lot less water. So for that system, it uses about 95% less water as it would in soil. And it grows over 2 acres worth of produce in, again, that 40-foot conics box. With that, we have drip irrigation, deep water culture, and then ebb and flow. And there's a few other methods as well that you can use to grow hydroponically. None of it is grown in soil, and it can grow sometimes 4 times faster. And it's a very targeted growing. So with the right light, nutrient, pH, and EC balance, you can affect both the taste and the growth rate of the plants.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And so if I only really know about like because I have a garden, that's it, right? So I grow vegetables in the dirt. So I know that like you get the nutrients from the soil. So if there's no soil, how do the plants get the nutrients that they need?
So I add nutrients into it, which is the EC or the parts per million. And a lot of it is driven from natural products and put in. So you're getting your nitrogen, you're getting your NPK, you're getting all the potassium, phosphorus, all the good stuff. And different plants uptake different nutrients at different times. So you can be very specific for that plant and increase their uptake of certain nutrients as well.
Very cool.
Pinedale, it's above 7,000 feet in elevation, right? How long is your growing season if you were planting vegetables in the dirt?
I mean, you
3
have
months or less.
Well, I mean, maybe a little longer than that. It is a very short growing season. Like right now, we just planted flowers because most of the rest of the next couple months we won't have frost. But we have a very, very short growing season because of that.
It can legitimately frost any night, except for the last 2 weeks in August, usually though.
Yeah.
It just depends.
It sounds like a really nice way to extend your growing season and accessibility and ways to get food in your area. What kinds of things do you grow?
So in the 40-foot conics box, we call it the leafy green machine. It grows, like again, 4 to 6 tons of food a year. So right now I have 11 different herbs and some specialty basils included in that. And then along with the different herbs, I have 4 different kinds of lettuces and a bunch of different varieties, and then mixed a variety of kale, Swiss chard, bok choy, and mustard greens. And one of my favorite is actually wasabi mustard green, which is kind of unique and special, especially for finding in this area. And then in my 1,000-foot square grow room that has the DWCs or deep water culture, the ebb and flow systems, along with the Dutch bucket systems, we have cucumbers, a variety of different peppers, such as bell peppers, different jalapenos, banana peppers, and a few extras thrown in there, along with eggplants. And surprisingly, and actually an avocado tree grown hydroponically as well.
Really? Have you harvested any avocados from it?
Not quite yet. It takes about 4 to 5 years to get produce from that. So we're right at that mark, but it is over 9 feet tall. I've dwarfed it several times, and it is showing all the signs of hopefully to start to produce. So.
And she also has
Oh, and I also have dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit in there too.
Yeah. All grown hydroponically.
That's really cool.
You're all mainly just selling it in the Mountain Fresh store?
So right now, most I harvest and then bring direct up to the storefront, except for on occasion, I have been working with the food bank and been giving them a ton of microgreens.
So 90 pounds of microgreens like twice a month.
Oh, wow. Let's talk a little bit. We mentioned earlier the Wyoming Food Freedom Act. Let's talk about how that affects your business and what it means for you.
Well, it's huge for our business because we, as Melissa had said, are allowed to sell fresh raw milk. We sell eggs. We have, 40 plus vendors, and they do baked goods. We have wheat-free and dairy-free desserts for people, like little cupcakes and stuff that one of the gals makes and brings in. We have a lot of different cinnamon rolls and cookies, plus other healthier options that vendors in Pinedale are, can put their stuff here. So it's like a
Closer to a farmer's
farmer's market, but all year round. So they are allowed to have a different place to display. We have glass blowers, we have artists, we have photographers. So we have a nice variety of things that we offer.
But it really helps the community to be able to not only know where their food comes from, but also what's in it. And it helps, keep everything hyper local. So we're all supporting each other in a way.
Melissa, have you been to their spot?
I have not, unfortunately, and I'd like to go, especially to see the leafy green machine out back that they have and enjoy the little cafe that you guys started. We were talking earlier about how that cafe came about to manage some shrink from fresh produce you have. How's that working? Is it working well? Pinedale's kind of small. Winters are very quiet.
It works really well. And it was kind of funny on how the cafe kind of came about. There was just this extra room in the building. And so my sister kind of joked and said, hey, what if there was a cafe in there? And so that's kind of how that came about. But it has helped a ton. It brings a lot of people in.
It boosts our foot traffic by a lot. Sierra is an awesome barista and runs a cafe beautifully. So, and she has fresh fruit smoothies also, which kind of go with our theme, with no added sugars unless somebody wants, a syrup or something added to it. That kind of helps too. So people bring their kids, they have a smoothie or coffee, and then they do their shopping. So it works out well.
Do you find that a lot of the customers are more Pinedale locals or the tourists? A lot of people funnel through Pinedale to get to Jackson and Teton and Yellowstone, especially in the summer. They drive through. Do you find you can make them stop for a little bit and get a smoothie and buy one of those cinnamon rolls and maybe a raw milk yogurt? And
Yep. They definitely stop. We have so many tourists coming in. They started last week, actually.
Yes.
I can tell you when they started. But we also have a really good base of locals who shop here every week. So even in the winter time, it's sustainable. So.
And let's give people the address in case people are passing through. We didn't mention the address of it, and then if there's anything that's gonna, do you have a big sign? How are they gonna know when they see it?
Well, that's pretty easy. Our address is 461 South Pine Street. It's the main drag through Pinedale. And we have a giant moose antler in the parking lot. You can't really miss it. It's pretty cool. And a kind of an interesting looking horse.
Yes.
That are made of cement. And tourists love to stop and take their pictures in front of these things. So
that is from a local artist.
it's from a local artist. And yes, the horse is for sale if anybody's interested.
Yes.
Okay. If they could fit it in the car and get it home.
You need a horse trailer for it.
Yes, you need, and a lift. It's cement.
You guys have been open for a couple years now. How has it changed besides adding cafe and adding more of a grow unit hydroponically? How has Mountain Fresh kind of changed as you've seen customers want different things, and also how you've seen, what you guys want to do?
Yeah. Well, we've really tried to bring in more diversity into what we bring in, things that really fit into the community, produce wise and otherwise. Along with that, we've had a huge increase even the last 6 months with just local vendors and producers. They finally have an outlet that's consistent to just be able to share that product.
Has any of them shared of because of you all being, place I can sell my food products, my sales have, gone up by X amount? I bought another cow or whatever.
Yes, our dairy guy, our milk provider, he has bought 2 or 3 more cows.
Three more
To
cows.
fill the need because he has become so popular here that he runs out of milk. We sell out almost every day. So.
And along with a lot of the other vendors, they've been able to up, especially in the summertime, their quantities by a lot. And that helps their families a ton too.
And how does it work as far as is it a co-op based, or is it consignment? Do people bring their stuff and you pay them out for it right then, or does it sell first and then you pay them for it? Because we have different models that our stores work at here. And I didn't know if there was rules around it in Wyoming for how you do that there.
There's not really any rules specifically. What we do is most of the vendor items are on consignment, which allows us a little bit more freedom too. So we're not, cash poor at the time. but we also do purchase some things also. So it's kind of a 50-50 depending on what the products are.
Yeah, a lot of the Food Freedom Act products have to be consignment because of that designated agent, because it's all about the money, right? So they're tracking the money, and the money for especially like the raw milk has to go from the customer to the producer. And so for Mountain Fresh can't buy the raw milk yogurt and then sell it. Those products have to be sold on consignment. Whereas you can buy, I always think about garlic, right? You could buy garlic, I'm a garlic grower, wholesale, and then as a retail food store, Mountain Fresh could mark it up to retail and resell it. But it's considered a raw agriculture product because I didn't value add it. It was just, the bulb of garlic.
Right.
So it kind of depends. And it gets, as you guys have probably experienced, doing both models of sales can be a little more admin. How have you guys figured out a system that's helping you track everything to work with all your producers?
A lot of the producers help keep track, which is very, very helpful. And then our POS system helps a ton, just keep very good records of everything that runs
the
through
sales.
that. Yeah.
Because everything goes through the cash register, the POS system. So then we are able to track it that way. We just have it tagged for each vendor.
Yeah.
That works the best.
That's how our rules are here in Oregon too. But then the only people that it's really different for is then like alcohol. So like beer, wine, cider, and then anything with CBD, then you can't do it that way. You can't do any of that on consignment. So then those kinds of co-ops in the stores have to pay out directly to that. So then that just, for our smaller makers, that's like the one kind of exception. But otherwise, it's usually done on consignment that way. But that's why I like to ask, because I always like to see how it runs across states, if it's if it's different or not.
Well, and there are some Wyoming goods and other things that are USDA or have been certified too. So those kind of fall under a different category.
Right.
But they're still, considered local and still coming from these areas.
We carry 2 different vendors have pork and beef. And so we sell those, but they have to be frozen and they have to be USDA. So
that makes sense.
Those we do carry. They're still local, but they are USDA.
Under those regulations.
One thing to think about in like business and marketing strategy is how customers describe you. Like we all describe our businesses certain ways. We have these images of what we're doing, but really it's how our customers perceive us. So do they call Mountain Fresh a grocery store? Do they call it the local food co-op, even though it's not, officially legally a cooperative? Like what do you hear from them that they're saying that you are?
The produce store.
The produce store, yeah.
Okay.
They call us the produce store.
And there's some in town that call it the sister store.
Oh yeah, the sister store.
But Vicki, you're the mom. You're not the sister.
Well, Savannah and Sierra.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
The sister with the cafe. So they see us and they're like, that's the sister store.
That's cute. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I wanted to ask some more questions about hydroponic farming, especially for people that maybe want to start it at home. So we'll be right back.
Oregon State University's College of Agricultural Sciences and the Food Innovation Center are proud sponsors of Meaningful Marketplace. With a mission to serve all Oregonians, we are committed to giving voice to those whose food and agricultural stories are not always heard. By providing access and opportunity for a more diverse and just food system, because food brings people together.
Okay, so I know that you got your start from kind of a hobby at home. So just in case we have listeners that are wanting to get into hydroponic farming, do you have any kinds of tips for people for maybe an accessible system to start out with, something that's pretty easy to get going at home?
Well, I think with a lot who get into hydroponics, the first one I started off with was just your basic little aero garden, which works pretty well. But if you really want to get into hydroponics, I would really suggest probably deep water culture, just because it's one of the easiest ways of growing, but also one of the most efficient, and the variety that you can grow is a lot more, a very large variety compared to some of the other systems, especially when you're intercropping or trying to keep certain, plants have different friends. And when that comes to hydroponics, you definitely have to follow that, because some cannot grow with others, sharing that nutrients or that water and oxygen levels and so on.
That was going to be my next question is there anything that you have learned that you want to share with people? Like, we always learn from our mistakes. Any mistakes that you've made with your farming that you could just pass on to people so they don't accidentally make the same kind of mistakes?
Definitely always have your extra pumps on hand. Like that is one thing with hydroponics. The soil it will keep growing, your pump goes out, it dries out, and that can be the end.
End of the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
So definitely make sure you have your extra pumps, your spare parts on hand. And then when you're messing with hydroponics, I didn't really realize until I got into the bigger systems, but you become a plumber as well. So definitely do your research and kind of predict water. You'll always have a flood or a leak or something will always happen. So just be prepared for that for sure.
Yeah, you probably have to have your rain boots on hand for accidental floods.
And your shipping container, it's a freight farm, right? So you purchased it and it was all built inside and it just came delivered. Maybe can you talk us through that process? Like you didn't build it yourself, you just had to learn how to operate it.
Yes. So it is a very integrated system. So it was a bit of a learning curve. Luckily, I had that time before we opened up the storefront to really get to learn the ins and outs of the freight farm, especially with the EC, the pH, the auto dosing, the lights. There's a lot of moving parts and that means that there's a lot that can go wrong as well. So really getting used to that system and just being able to figure out what grows best and to target the amounts and how or what the varieties you want to grow.
She just makes sure that the varieties that you want to grow work together.
Yeah. How have the varieties changed? Sounds like you're doing some really cool things like dragon fruit, that's avocado. But when you first started growing, I'm sure you had in mind what customers would buy, and has that shifted sense of like, oh, they didn't really want that much microgreens. I guess I better grow something else.
It shifted a ton, especially when I first started out. I grew a little bit of everything, trying to figure out how much I could grow of that and how much would sell, how much the community wanted it. So from that point on, I mean, every year I feel like I'm switching out varieties. I'm decreasing that and increasing this. Lettuce, I will up the production a lot more in the summertime because we have a lot more visitors. But in the wintertime, I'll decrease that and kind of switch. There's certain herbs like dill I'll only grow in the summer, mostly around canning season compared to in the winter because no one really wants it. So yeah, it's changed a lot, especially in the grow room with the Dutch bucket systems. I grew a little bit of everything to see kind of what I was more efficient at growing, but also just what sold. So like tomatoes, they could sell really well. I don't love growing tomatoes, so I switched to cucumbers. So there's certain things that definitely do better than others, and I just kind of go with the flow and learned to adapt to what was needed.
Well, you're definitely a family-based business with your mom there and your sister running a cafe. Any advice for people who are working together with their families?
Make sure you love them a lot before you start a business.
Yeah, because you get to live with them, you get to work with them, so you better really get along well. We do, thankfully. Yes. We get along very well.
And you'll have amazing days and you'll love it, and then you'll have days that you're why do we do this?
Yes.
So especially with so many different areas that we have, it is a bit of chaos, but it's chaos that we love to do together.
I know you all have been asked to have, the milk cow out back, and you've chosen to have your dairy guy, your dairy man. What else have you thought about growing to provide food that the customers want?
So one thing that we've done as a family is that we also have chickens. So we sell a lot of our eggs direct to the customer as well. What else? We make like a lot of homemade jams to also contribute to what's going out.
And banana bread.
Store. Banana bread.
A lot of banana bread.
So when there's an area to fill, we also try to fill that area.
Yeah. So if there's a gap and people have requested stuff, we try to fill the gap.
Have you had other people start food businesses for you? Like ask someone to make banana bread. And like Ben, kind of like the encourager of entrepreneurism in Pinedale, of like, hey, this is what customers want to eat and buy.
We've had 2 new vendors who started up just to be able to put their stuff here. So yes, we have had that experience.
There'll be people that will come in and they'll say, oh, I make a really good this, I make a really good sourdough, I make a really good pizza crust, or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, well, you could sell it here, like go ahead and make it, here are the rules. And yeah,
And you have to label it this way and put it in this kind of packaging, and then we can sell it.
come share it with your community.
Yeah.
So
The dog cookie lady.
yes,
We
yeah,
have homemade dog cookies. Yes. So that's kind of cool.
all sorts of fun things.
Do a lot of your vendors also sell at the Pinedale's Farmers Market, which I know is just a summer farmers market, so it's a short season that matches your growing season? In the summer, are they ramping up to stock Mountain Fresh as well as sell at the Pinedale Farmers Market?
Some of them do.
There's a few, but overall, the farmers markets were kind of rough and far between. So a lot of the vendors actually kind of stopped supporting the farmers market to sell here, which was a little sad. So, I mean, sometimes
There's
there's a
got
few
newer
that,
people,
that will
yeah.
for sure, but overall, probably not so
Not as much.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good. You don't have to pack it up and take it outside now.
We just drop it off and walk away.
Because our farmers market is outside.
Yeah, it's definitely more efficient for the producer side that you guys are their salespeople
Yeah.
versus going to the farmers market. Does Pinedale only have it like once a month?
In the summer they have it every week.
Oh, okay.
Weeks? Is it every 2 weeks or every week? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not really sure.
It used to be sometimes it's every week and sometimes it's every other week, depending on the interest.
But for about 6 to 8 months out of the year, I think it's only once a month.
Yeah, that's hard to really plan a farm and food business around once a month sales channel. So you all providing that for both the community members and the producers is a great service.
Well, and that's how we kind of started off, especially after the freight farm. That's where we sold our produce until the storefront was open, was at the farmers markets. And that really helped too, to figure out what people were looking for and to get quantities and amounts and variety kind of more nailed down too. So the farmers market was an excellent outlet for us to really get our business up and going.
And one thing we haven't talked about, Pinedale, you said the sign said it's 2,700 people, but there is a grocery store there. I think it's the only grocery store in Sublette County, right? Is there one down in Big Piney?
There's one, there's a small one in Big Piney.
Oh, there's one. Okay.
Yeah.
Big Piney's even smaller than Pinedale.
Yes. It is little. The little one.
So, you guys, if you're looking around, if you have a competitor, right? It's that other grocery store.
Right.
Have you heard from customers why they're choosing you instead of the chain grocery store down the street?
Yes.
Not to get into community tensions or anything, but
yes, they've been pretty vocal about that.
Yes.
We strive very hard to make sure that our produce is fresh. A lot of it we harvest right here, so obviously it's extremely fresh. They'll come in and they'll want tarragon, and Savannah will go out and cut it for them. So it's like super fresh, right? You can't get it any fresher than that. The grocery store has a hard time with freshness.
Yes.
So thus customers come here for those kinds of things.
And that's, again, why we initially started our business was just because I grew up here. Our family has been in Pinedale for over 30 years. And we saw a need and we wanted to fill that need.
I love that. I think you guys are bringing something that your community needs and connecting them to each other and to your family and, supporting local businesses. Like you're doing all the things that we talk about on the show all the time, all the things we love. It's so great. I think it's really inspiring. The only question I really have is we told people where to go to support you and how to support you and how to support the other makers. Is there a way for people to support you that aren't in the area? Like, do you sell anything online?
I don't really sell anything online. Yeah, just support your local ag is the big message here. And that's something that we're trying to promote is hydroponics isn't generally seen as agriculture, and it needs to be seen as agriculture.
Especially for areas where, like we live in a food desert, for areas that have that short growing season, high altitudes, bad weather, it is another way of growing high quality produce and very efficiently year round. We just want to make sure that, people see that as an option, especially as things kind of change.
Yeah, and you mentioned that the chain grocery store struggles with freshness but it's because you guys are so remote, right? Their
Yes.
distribution trucks really struggle to get up to Pinedale from Salt Lake City on any type of regular schedule. And therefore they don't always have, fresh stuff there. Like what they had might be really wilted, maybe a little bit rotted, and it might have come off the truck that way. And so that's another reason to think about alternative growing systems like hydroponics, is that for that chain grocery store, they're losing money probably trying to stock that grocery store in Pinedale just because they have all these other stores they're running trucks to. Whereas you guys are a store one, making sure food is really fresh and growing it right there, which is an awesome thing to do within a food system. Be like, hey, no, we've got the solution here. We don't need to keep trying to wait on trucks to come up from somewhere south and maybe run into a blizzard or the road's closed. We've got our little shipping container here and we've got food for you.
And there's a lot of really amazing science behind hydroponics. That's kind of what I fell in love with, was the science behind that.
Often we think of food scientists as people like Sarah Masoni, who wasn't able to join the call. She knows all about pH levels and how a recipe needs to come together. But you're right. In some ways, Savannah, you're another food scientist.
She is, definitely. She's done
You're in
things
your
nobody else has, yeah.
You're in your grow lab tinkering and making
Yeah.
things flourish in the middle of January when it's probably like -30 in Pinedale.
Yeah.
Right.
And you have maybe 7 hours of daylight, natural daylight.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I do love that part of it. I can be in my 70-degree Conex box with my grow lights and the beautiful greenage and walk out and it's a blizzard. And I do love that I can do that. I can bring in those fresh veggies and straight into the grow room when it's 3 feet of snow outside. So
Melissa, I think I just had another vision of a movie that you need to make for of her of Savannah walking out of her grow box into the snow. I think it's gotta happen.
Protecting her cucumbers.
Yeah.
Please.
I can see it in my mind.
just walking straight out into the fridge, right?
Yeah. Well, it was really great to meet you both and to chat with you and to hear about your business. Thanks for coming on the show today, and we'll make sure to connect people with you and keep doing great things for Pinedale. I love it.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Meaningful Marketplace podcast. Before you go, show some love for your favorite podcast by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram at Meaningful Marketplace Podcast. You can call or text Sarah and I with questions at 503-395-8858. And we couldn't do this without our fantastic team at Joy of Creation Production House. Thank you to Dave, our production coordinator, and Haley, our audio engineer. And we will be back next week, everybody. Thank you.